In this video, we are going to look at many middle game examples from the Tata Steel tournament happening in the Netherlands in Vikensee. The middle games we will look at include a tactic to crash through on the king side, Dutch number 1 versus Norwegian number 2, a miracle defensive resource between Polish number 1 and Swedish number 1, an exchange sacrifice in the centre, giving up a rook for a knight and pawn to control a lot of squares, Norwegian number 2 versus Polish number 2, and finally looking at brilliant defensive resources and a checkmate in 5 in the final game, Carlsen versus Firouzja, world number 1 versus the top junior. Giri against Tari. In this game, white has successfully stopped these pawns moving. Notice, all of white's pawns are on light squares. Black's pawns, 7 of them, are on dark squares. Let's see how Giri finished it off. He is a knight up, it's finding a way to use it. Queen f6, queen in, rook b8, bishop back, queen in, queen d8, bishop b2, putting pressure here, and here, and here, queen c8, queen now slides over, and Giri is finding a way to crash through, bishop f8. Pause the video now or let the timer run. Can you find a really cool way for white to crash through? It's not moving the queen. Can't go check, can't go here, can't go here, here, here. But it would be really nice if white could have access to this square. And it's not moving the queen. If you found it, congrats. Knight takes f4, check. Tari resigned. If you take the knight, this square is now available. The bishop has come to life. Queen f6 check. King can't go to those squares. Can only go in the corner. King h7 and a rook takes h4. Finally, the h-pawn drops and white will crash through. And Giri is going to crash through, and this is how he scored his first victory. Take, check, king in the corner, and then mate. Jan Duda against Niels Grandelius. Polish number 1 against Swedish number 1. Queen d1 played in this position. And after rook e5, knight f4, g5, black is crashing through. Because after h3, the queen goes back to d7. You can't move the knight because that is mate. Queen d7, queen takes f3, and black, he just took his time. He doesn't need to take the knight straight away. Rook back, queen there, and then he took the knight. However, the reason I want to quickly go through this example is white has this genius defensive move with queen a5. What if black plays the same moves as before? What if black goes rook e5? You need to play knight f4 to stop rook h5. Then rook takes h2, checkmate, with the queen coming back to h5. It's a nice way to sacrifice and get mate. If you play g5 here, white has a brilliant defensive resource. Pause the video now or let the timer run. And I'll give you a clue because it's just so difficult to see. It's based on this move. You want to make the rook work on this file. Can you see it? Where can this queen go? The amazing move is queen c7. It's so rare and it's so difficult to play a move like this. You want to defend your king. You want to be making moves on this side of the board, but queen c7 works out. The problem is you can't play this because you take with the pawn. The rook is now in the game, facing this bishop. Queen also attacks this. If the queen gets out the way, that is checkmate. What an amazing defensive idea, so difficult to see. By the way, if queen a5, b6, just want to show you what happens, because b6 looks like it blocks the queen to get to that square. Rook e5, knight takes b6 is the genius move. Queen and knight defend a crucial square. Rook h5 doesn't work. Same as before, if it's black's move again, you're going to take, and then queen h5 will be checkmate because of this move, queen d7. And the game could end in some weird perpetual like rook f5. Then white can give a check, and then once the rook goes back, then the queen can come back to guard this square. Notice in this position, rook takes h2 check doesn't work because after king takes queen h5 is not mate. The queen can actually slide back. What's a defensive resource? Beginning with queen a5. Iron Tari against Radoslaw Wojtaszek. Norwegian number 2 against Polish number 2. Bishop b5 check played in this Sicilian. Bishop b5 check is a nice way to play against Sicilian players. You don't go for an open Sicilian because those are the kind of positions they want. Knight d7, a4, knight f6, knight out, bishop back to e2, and this is the point. d4 take, you take with the queen. Then the queen can just slide back to e3. It's well placed in the centre. Knight reroutes, rook here, b3, and then bishop b2. A nice positional way to play against Sicilian Najdorf players. b4, getting space, it's a big decision, changing the structure on the queen side. Knight in, knight d7, and now a5. One way to play is g3. Maybe Tari, he was worried about rook d4, but a cool middle game idea, you take and then queen takes. Queen, bishop, line up against the king. If you don't play bishop f6, rook d8, knight d5 is winning. Queen, bishop, line up for checkmate. You can block with bishop f6, but then take, take, take. White is winning. You got 2 pieces for the rook. g3, maybe black could play rook d8, but then you can put the knight in. Knight looks so dangerous, so you could take, take. You can't play knight d4 because bishop takes. And then this bishop is hanging. So after this, you can play bishop g5, but then the queen can just place itself well in the center. Knight f8, and in a position like this, white's much better. You can play f4. Open it up for the pieces. Maybe bishop f6, game goes on. Maybe like this, take, 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 take. c4, look at this. 4 against 2. d6. Yeah, that's a cool one. If this works. d6, can't play rook d6, rook hangs. So d6, wherever the queen moves. Not too sure where. c5. That's pretty cool. c6. White's crashing through. The game continues. After knight g4, the queen goes back to d8. Rook takes e6. Magnus has to sacrifice, trying to blow open the position. Rook takes e6. Knight takes rook, and queen takes e6 check here. Firouzja blundered with bishop f7. The best move is actually to go king in the corner. But you can see why Firouzja was scared of this move, because of knight takes h6. The point is, queen g8 is now mate. But black has a brilliant move in this position. Before we go to that, let's have a look at what's wrong with this. You just crash through. Queen takes h6 check. King g8. Bishop here. King here. Just find a way to box the king in. Check. When the king goes back, notice the king cannot go to the left because of the rook. King f8. Queen g8 is mate. After knight takes h6, pause the video now or let the timer run. Can you find a brilliant move? A brilliant way for black to defend the g8 square. And it's not taking this. The brilliant move is bishop h5. Now the queen guards that square. The queen can actually slide along to f8. Then the rook can slide along to e8. Knight g4 and then queen f5 will be coming next. By the way, you can't play queen f5 here. Pause the video again or let the timer run. Can you find a brilliant defensive resource for black? Because if white can get this in, it looks like you're in trouble. Because queen a7 is mate. But there is a way out for black. The brilliant move here is queen b6, check. Really nice geometry. The king is not safe. Check. King out, queen takes h6, and this is not mate because there's a queen there. So you retreat the knight and then continue the attack, but I think black has a really cool defensive resource. Slide the queen over to f8, then the rook can come to e8. Black is doing well. In the game, queen e6 check played, bishop f7. Magnus now crashes through in the same way as I just showed before. Knight takes h6 check. Take, take. Firouzja is in trouble. Queen c7. Maybe finding a way to go to g3 so then the queen can help out in the defense. But this is going to be mate in a few moves. You know what? Let's go through this checkmating pattern together. See if you can calculate all the way till the end. So firstly, queen h7 check. King has to go to the left. Queen h8 check. King is now here, so the bishop blocks. Now the queen goes back to h6 check. If the queen blocks, then the queen goes to d6. So if you can picture that, amazing, congrats. You found a way to check the black king, putting it in a tough spot, then coming back with the queen and then sliding over. Let's play that out. This really tests your calculating ability. Queen h7 check, king slides over, check, bishop here, and then check. King can't go to left. The rook guards all those squares. Queen g7 and queen d6 check. The game is over. King can't go here. King can only come up and then checkmate in one move. Really cool because there's actually a bishop here guarding this exit square. Queen guards this. Rook guards this. And then we're good. Queen e7. Every red square shows all the options black cannot take. All squares are guarded. So queen e7 is the finish. Thank you so much for watching all the way until the end. If you enjoyed this type of video in which I look at many examples, let me know in the comments below. Why not give this video a like and subscribe to the channel at the same time. Make sure you press the bell, then YouTube will let you know when I release a new video. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you later.